Welcome to the March 8th, 2022 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And we have another wonderful show here for you. We do have some crummy things to talk about at first, but...
this first thing I actually forgot to bring up last week.
Yeah, and we should talk about it because it is a global event, of course.
Normally we do not discuss geopolitics on the podcast, and we're basically not going to, but there is a shallower and more selfish thing that happens to fall within the realm of what we normally discuss, so it is relevant in that regard.
Yeah, and I must point this out that we personally care about this topic on a broader scale a lot more than just this, so don't think that we are just thinking about this selfishly about this particular
you
thing.
could probably guess where we stand on this, but we're not going to make it a whole discussion, especially because we're not experts in this matter, and that would be an entire podcast by itself, even if we were.
Well, this is a pop culture podcast, so we'll talk about cultural things when it bleeds into our realm. So this is what this is. So. But, Lotus, I'll let you take this, or at least the first part of it.
Yeah, so, who likes Everdrives? Most people do. Everdrives are cartridges which hold SD cards, so you can store many games on a single cartridge. It's basically if you want to emulate, but play on actual hardware. So if you want the feeling of playing on, say, a Sega Genesis, and you just have a bunch of ROMs downloaded onto a single card, you could put that card into a Genesis cartridge that has been formatted for it, put that into your system, and go ahead. But it just so happens that the creator of Everdrives is based in Ukraine, which means that his ability to produce and ship is very obviously compromised as of last week and continuing into now.
And I might also state that his safety is probably in danger, more than likely in danger. So
yeah, the whole country is just literally in a state of war.
Yeah, so...
I was going to say alert, but like, what the fuck? Like, it's in war.
I must say that above all else, I am a customer of his. I have many Everdrives. I have several, more than half a dozen, for my various consoles. They are fantastic products, but more than just that, his name is Krikz, Krikzz. Of course, he has a real name, but this is what we know him by. And he has created a really fantastic line of flash cartridges, called the Everdrives. So much so that they've almost become kind of like the Kleenex of flash cartridges.
Yeah, that is true. Like there was the SD to SNES, which is now called something different that I don't care about because it's fucking SD to SNES. But
it's FX Pack Pro.
Whatever. But if you're going to refer to flash carts as a whole, other than the term flash carts, a lot of people defaults to Everdrives because there's a bunch of them.
Well, the FX Pack Pro, I should also say, is also something he manufactures.
Oh, really?
So, that is part of his realm.
That's kind of funny.
He manufactures them. He does not program them. That's the major difference with that one in particular. He is the supply chain for that one in particular. But there are other flash cartridges out there. They're just not nearly as full-featured or easy to use as his products. And not only that, but they're also usually very open-ended. He doesn't really lock them down with any sort of for instance, like if you want service for it, he freely gives you access to all of the firmwares and all that stuff. It's not something you have to register a serial number with or anything.
Yeah,
like that,
I was going to bring that up. Sometimes, even if you're a customer, it's just unnecessarily frustrating to get a relatively basic thing.
He's also really good at customer service to the point where I just think he's a good person. he just kind of wants to help any way he can usually. It's really a shame to see him have to sign off. We don't know his well-being as of right now. He basically, one of his last posts on Twitter was he was just taking a picture of like the state of things. He took a picture of his basement, and he's like, "This is where I'm going to reside with my wife and my infant child," and it's really sad to see that, because not only do we have a whole country of people that are just normal people, honestly. Whenever we get into like geopolitics or anything like that, I always, like everybody at the top is doing all kinds of shit, and really the people that suffer are the normies.
Yep.
Honestly,
which is everyone.
Yeah. Which
like
is,
nobody wants this except for like 15 people.
Yeah, it's really awful. And not only that, but you also have SRG 320. His name is Sergey Devenko. Davodnenko. I'm sorry. I apologize for my pronunciation, but he's also Ukrainian. He is currently developing the Mr. Core for the Saturn Mr. Core. So he has been very talented, and like even seeing like stuff running on his core is just like remarkable, because the Mr. while powerful, like nobody thought that you could run something as complicated as a Sega Saturn, which was notoriously very difficult to emulate to begin with. And to see it up and running on like basically a stock Mister is really something amazing. So the guy must have a significant talent. Of course, not only do we feel for the I don't know his status either. I don't think anybody does, because even if they are safe, maybe if they've gone to another country or something of that nature, they are more than likely their work on a fun thing is probably the least.
Not the top priority.
Yeah, not a top priority right now. Being safe, taking care of their family, or even fighting if that's their thing, is on their mind. So it's a shame, not only to see these talented people that we revere in trouble, but like a whole country as well. So anything else to say on that, Lotus?
No, not really. Just like the situation sucks, and I don't know how it's supposed to work, but I hope it's resolved sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's for sure. Because a lot of parties are involved.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Moving on from that, Nintendo kind of dropped a kind of neat feature all of a sudden, which is Switch missions and rewards. Nintendo for a while now has had like different currencies that you can earn on their my Nintendo Club Nintendo stuff, where you can use those various currencies for your various prizes, sometimes physical items. If you're lucky, you can get some really neat things that they put out every year, calendars, for instance, that you can only get through those kinds of things. Or
Smash soundtrack.
Yeah, soundtracks, exactly. I got one of those.
I got one of those at MagFest, I think.
Yeah, back in the day, they also made specific games for it, like on the DS in particular. They made like a Game & Watch, a couple Game & Watch collections that were only available through this kind of thing.
Well, my favorite thing is what you showed me, which was Doc Lewis's Punch-Out.
Oh, yeah. They had Doc Lewis's Punch-Out, which was a special Punch-Out game that
where you fight the coach and he fucking kicks your ass.
Yeah, he's probably the most challenging.
Yeah, what would you rather happen? He eats one of his chocolate bars and significantly heals, or you intercept by knocking it out of his hand and then he
make
goes
him
into a
mad.
berserker rage.
Yeah, you make
He's
him fucking
very
mad.
scary.
Yeah. And so it's just in case you thought he was just that fat guy in the ring.
Yeah, no, like
No, he will fuck you
He
up.
was a boxer. Hey, little Mac, what's your favorite flower? Mine's chocolate. Ha 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 ha. Like, what?
But yeah, there's other things that they've awarded to. Like they had like a super hand Wii app that was pretty fun. That was one of their old toys back in the day, like an accordion thing, and it had like a little mini game to go with it. Just kind of cool stuff. But what they're doing now is they're integrating it even more into the Switch. So they're basically like, hey, play Super Mario Brothers and get this amount of points this week, that kind of thing. So might develop into something later on, more later on. But they are mostly integrating it, from what I understand, into the Switch Online apps. The NES, Super NES. And N64 apps, and they probably are going to do it with the Genesis one. So I just think it's a neat thing to do, and something to get you to play those old games and interact with them and get people talking about them. So I think it's a pretty neat thing to do, actually. And it's nothing you have to do or anything like that. It's just an optional thing to get people riled up. Moving on from that, Yuzo Koshiro is confirmed for Mina and the Hallower, the new yacht club game.
Yeah, that's pretty rad. Usually Koshiro is just his music is just consistently entertaining.
Yeah. Yuzo Koshiro is, of course, the superstar soundtrack composer, somebody that everybody, like pretty much everybody universally loves, but his claim to fame is, of course, the Streets of Rage series. He's had participation. He made the first 3 soundtracks and participated in the 4th, and many other soundtracks as well. There's been a couple recent ones that I forgot about. He even did he did the original ActRaiser soundtrack, but he did like the remixed one, which is apparently really, really good.
And he contributed. I'm sorry for not getting the title, but he contributed to one of the Castlevania games.
Yes, he
like PSP something.
No, he did the one for Portrait of Ruin, I think.
Oh, DS, okay.
Yeah. I think Portrait of Ruin was the one that he did, and then he contributed to. So that was the second DS game.
By the way, this is tangential, but Mina and the Hallower, how much you want to bet this is going to be a Harry Potter situation where, like, a full decade later, people still call it like Hollower and like the Deathly Hollows. Like, you're a super fan of the books and you read it 100 times. How do you not know the title?
It's definitely going to be Mandela affected. But I mean, there's plenty of soundtracks that he's done over the years. I'm not going to list them all because that'd be foolish. There's also the Etrian Odyssey games, of course. That's what a lot of people know him from in that circle. But I think he's also been getting like a lot of work lately. He also did the soundtrack to Soul Cresta, which just released.
Oh, nice.
Platinum Games' shmup that they just put out, which is apparently very good. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Well, I'm very disappointed because there's apparently 3 Crestas, but that one is supposed to be the Soul one.
It's
bullshit.
It's SOL, which is shit out of luck.
Yes, son.
No. It was Moon Crest is the first one, Terra Crest is the second one.
Yeah, Moon, Terra, and Soul's the sun.
Yeah. So and Terra Cresta 2 was the one that was on the PC Engine. So,
and Terra is obviously a reference to Final Fantasy VI.
Terith.
Terith, get the hell out of here.
But yeah, I'm really looking forward to any amount of work because I love his soundtracks. I sometimes I'll buy one of his games just because one of the games that he's contributed just because I love his soundtracks. And I might not necessarily want to interact with the game all that much, but I think that's might be the case with the ActRaiser remake. I'd rather probably play the original ActRaiser, the one on Super Nintendo, but his soundtrack, his remix soundtrack is apparently very, very good on top of, what was already a great soundtrack from him. So looking forward to that. Also, Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, we've been talking about this for quite a bit. We are really looking forward to this game. Lotus and I have played every one of the Natsume revival kind of games. I don't think they have an official name, the three of them, but
but like that's fine. They're a almost trilogy. I never did beat Wild Guns. That game's brutal even on easy, because easy's just basically infinite continues. But I did beat Ninja Saviors, fantastic title, and I look forward to Pocky and Rocky, although that's a shoot 'em up, so I'll probably get my ass kicked there too.
It's okay, because I think that the quality of the games really speaks for themselves.
The games are fantastic.
Yeah, so I think you'll have fun either way.
I'm sure I will. And Wild Guns, I game over it 100 times, but that game is great.
Yeah, that's a really good party game too, especially since it's like 4-player now. So
yeah, that's insane. And with 4 different characters, and the 2 new characters, Annie and Clint, they're the same character, but the 2 new characters are very different.
Yeah, wildly different. But Pocky and Rocky Reshrined already has a physical edition already, very easily pre-ordered on Amazon.
Wild Guns and Pocky and Rocky were easy. Ninja Savior, you have to go online to get it, and before that it was strictly limited only. So I don't know, I guess just one of them is the odd one out. I don't know.
Yeah, Einen Games has really shortly become very quickly become my favorite indie publisher.
Sure.
They are published games at a reasonable price. First of all, they are more widely available than the limited run kind of companies.
Yeah, they're limited in that they're not all over store shelves, but they're not 5,000 units only limited.
Yeah, it's kind of my impression that they are the American branch of Strictly Limited, because they do a lot of things together.
That could be, or maybe they have some sort of understanding, because Strictly Limited is still a traditional limited print company where we only have this many.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it's this isn't the same thing, because neither of them is an actual dev of the original game, but I'm wondering if it's a Strictly Limited, or excuse me, Special Reserve Games and Devolver, where they just have an understanding, we'll handle this set of products.
Well, I think part of it as well is Einen is a genuine publisher through and through. They actually publish the games digitally as well.
Okay.
So they may get the publishing rights, to publish it any way that they want, but then they'll make a deal with Strictly Limited to put out their physical copy as well, because they do put out distinct versions from each other when they do overlap, but they seem like they're buds at least.
From what I've mainly seen from Einen, at least with the few games I've looked up, they produce the standard edition. It's not on store shelves, but it's it's what you'd expect
you
from
can get
store
it from
shelves.
Amazon. You can get it from Amazon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Whereas Strictly Limited, they also do standard, but they have collector's editions of various things they do.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of a different product, in a way. It's hey, if you want to get a really amped up version of this cool thing, they have that too.
Yeah, Strictly Limited has the big box kind of thing going on.
Absolutely. And I also forgot to mention, I don't have the note here for this, but they also announced a Wonderboy collection.
With a bunch of Wonderboy titles. It's what was it, 1 through 4 or something?
1 through 4, all of the official ones and the Sega versions of those. I believe they're putting out the console version, all of the Sega console versions and arcade versions of all of them.
That's pretty
which
cool.
is really neat in one go. Now they haven't. Einen has not revealed their physical release of that yet, but Strictly Limited has. And Einen said that they're working with them. So Einen will at least do a digital US distribution of that game. So that collection. So I'm really looking forward to it. The art is really fantastic. It has like all the different Wonder Boys on the front, which I'm pretty excited about. I'm not going to explain like all the intricacies of Wonder Boy and its crazy chronology.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, you know what it makes me think of is, you know how the Star Wars FPS, there's Dark Forces, right?
Yeah.
But then there's Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2. Why is it called that? Well, it's Dark Forces 2, but it's Jedi Knight 1. Like, the entire Wonder Boy series is like weirdness like that.
Yeah, it like the fourth one's called Monster World 4, and it's not even the fourth game in the series. Yeah,
and then there's Armored Core, which, I mean, like, it does make sense. There's like a number title and its spin-offs, and then the next number, but like Armored Core 2 is the fourth game.
yeah, but notably, this collection is not going to have any of the remakes. So like you're gonna have to get those on your own, or
oh
buy
yeah,
them
it's
in their
not going to
separate-
be like that like Dragon's Trap thing that.
Yeah. So you won't be able to get the Dragon's Trap .emu remake that was excellent.
Yeah, they're going traditional.
Yeah, the remake of Monster World 4, which also Einen put out, is not included. It's just the original. It's the OG versions of all of these. So
Was Monster World 4 the not Shantae game?
correct.
Okay.
So yeah. Wonder Boy and Monsterland, Wonder Boy 3 Monster Lair, Wonder Boy 3 The Dragon's Trap,
Easy every time.
which is a different 3, and Wonder Boy in Monster World, and then Monster World 4. So there's actually 6 games. So yeah, Monster World 4 is the 6th game.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, I love these games. They're all like really fun, and they're all a little bit different. The first one is Adventure Island. It's basically the same thing. Adventure Island is like Hudson's like port of Wonder Boy. So yeah, it's basically like run really fast because you're running out of time. Collect fruit to give yourself some more time. Because you're gonna die of hunger otherwise. But it was like one of the very first runner games. You had to keep going, and get to the end of each stage, and while avoiding hazards, enemies, and other hazards on the way, and all the way while collecting other things. So Wonder Boy 1 is a lot of fun, but it is a kind of a more simpler, early kind of feeling arcade game. The second game is really fun, but also it's kind of like an arcade RPG, so it's very challenging. Like you have to know how to get the currencies so you can buy the like powered up weapons at the right times, kind of thing. It's like a very trial and error-y kind of game. If you ask me, and then there's Wonder Boy 3 Monster Lair, which is it's kind of a shmup. It's really weird. And then there's Dragon's Trap, which is probably like the best game, one of the best games in the series. It's really, really good. It's like basically a Metroidvania. Like you have different forms that you take during the course of the game that help you get through certain the contiguous world. So like you have like a fish form, or that'll help you get through the water, or a mouse form that'll help you get through small areas, that kind of thing. And then Wonder Boy Monster World is the kind of like the follow-up to that one that isn't quite as good. And then Monster World 4 is just a wonderful, beautifully animated platformer that's a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend these games. So this collection is a really good way to experience them. It does not have any of the Hudson versions of these games. Hudson ported almost all of these to the PC Engine back in the day, but it does not include any of those. It's just like the Sega Westone collaborations. So just really looking forward to that. There's also the Capcom Fighting Collection. Is also finally not finally, but they announced that it will be getting a physical.
Yeah, I think they mentioned that, like,
States.
even when they first announced it was going to exist, like, and it's going to be physical. Like, oh, damn, okay.
Yeah, even better, you could start pre-ordering it now on, I think GameStop has it and Best Buy.
You can own Red Earth on console. That's crazy.
I can't wait for it. In Japan, they're doing something even cooler. They're including a special edition along with the Street Fighter collection that was released a couple years ago. So that's pretty neat. I'm really looking forward to this. It's not on Amazon yet, so I might wait until I can get it on Amazon, but I'm looking forward to it. And then we finally have a date or a launch window for the House of the Dead remake.
Yeah, this was a surprise because they announced that they'd be remaking House of the Dead 1 for Switch months ago, and then it's just been radio silence. And I know it's too early to ask if it's like, is it really going to happen? But like, It's been a long time with no update, and all of a sudden they're like, we have a release date. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it's coming out in April, which is next month.
Yeah,
it's excellent. So we're really looking forward to that. The House of the Dead 1, just to give people an idea, has only been like ported like when it came out, and those ports aren't the best.
Like on Windows 95 PCs or maybe 98, and like the Sega Saturn.
Yeah, the Saturn one's not very good at all. I'm not a big fan of that port. It's very ugly looking, like compared to the arcade version.
It's not great.
It just doesn't look great. It doesn't look like the arcade version, and that's kind of inexcusable, if you ask me. It should have looked like it, but as a result, I think of its hardware and it being kind of old school, even for the time. The game's never really gotten a decent port. The PC port is better, but it's also kind of hard to run it these days. So I would really like to see the first game get its due, and even as a remake, I'm happy. I don't know whether they'll include the original version of it or not. They haven't revealed that, but even so, I really like the aesthetic.
Well, I'm guessing this might be a Panzer Dragoon situation where they're just never gonna port the OG again, so they have to remake it.
Well, the OG of the original Panzer Dragoon can be had.
Well, excuse me, you're right. The Zwei.
Zwei cannot. But the jury's out on that one. But honestly, the remake of Panzer Dragoon is so good. I don't think you really want to go back to the original unless it's like academic. Kind of.
Yeah, well, unless you're like, I'm gonna play 1, 2, and 3, and all of a sudden 2 looks worse, and you're like, oh.
But then no, their plan is to remake the second one. I think they're in the middle of doing.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
It's Saga that.
Yeah, that's the big one. But like, it just makes me think of like a Yakuza situation. If you play the games in numerical order, then you have 0, which is great. 1, quite an improvement. 2, insane improvement. 3, major decline, and then slowly increasing 4, 5, and 6. That's the natural state of things, and then 7 is just a whole different animal.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that because the other games really do reference the first game quite a bit. So like the fact that you can't access it is kind of funny to me.
Well, which one? With Yakuza?
No, House of the Dead.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Even Suffer Like G did. Like. I mean, G's dead right here, but like, who is this?
Even the Grindhouse one, Overkill. Overkill, has the character from the first game in it. So
that is true, but like, if you don't know that, you're fine. He's just in his
Yeah.
own little world in Overkill.
That's true.
It's
That's
just like
true.
the big thing I would say is the magician in
Yeah.
I think 3 of the games.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I really like the House of the Dead, so it's just one of those classic Sega franchises.
Yeah,
That
I
also,
want him to port Scarlet Dawn. Make it happen.
yeah, Scarlet Dawn would be nice. Even a port of Zombie Revenge would be really cool. It hasn't had a port since
Yeah,
the
that's a game that
the
exists. Remember
Dreamcast.
that one?
Yeah, that Zombie Revenge is actually a lot of fun. I really
That game
like
is
that game.
hard.
It is very difficult. Once you get to like the 3rd level, it's
Yeah, it just like run out of time, or you just get your ass kicked. It's tough.
yeah.
You're gonna need a lot more bullets.
Bullets. Yeah,
Bullets.
That game is ridiculous, but I love it. Also, Arcade Archives has put out Dragon Spirit, which is one of Namco's like fan favorite games. It is a really awesome shmup where you control a dragon rather than like an aircraft. So it's definitely up there in like the classic games of that era, classic shmups that are just really good. It plays, I believe it has a Xevious kind of gameplay style where you do attack ground targets as well as air targets, and Twin B if that's your thing. But I'm just really glad that Arcade Archives is putting out these really great games from like all these different companies, including Namco's one of the better companies when it comes to like preserving their arcade titles and making sure they're available. But this is even better. I'm really looking forward to it. And speaking of, they're putting out the Pac-Man Museum Plus in May. They've revealed that, so I'm really looking forward to that because I love Namco's arcade collections. They're more than just they emulate all those games really well, and they usually put together a really good package. But they're usually more than just that. They usually include like all kinds of like museum modes and that kind of stuff. And in this, like, you get rewarded for playing the game, and you can create your own little like almost like an Animal Crossing arcade that you can have everything stored in, and you can dress it up and all that kind of stuff and earn currency in order to do that. So I'm really looking forward to that one as well. This one was you talked about this one, this Konami product here.
What, Shadow Warrior?
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Oh, okay, yeah, we skipped an entry. I was like,
I apologize.
Shadow Warrior is not gonna...
I jumped forward because it was Namco.
Yeah, that threw me for a second. Do you know what I'm about to say about Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, you pinged me about it, but I didn't read more into it.
This is very funny. So apparently what Konami wanted to do was change, like, for whatever reason, change the word magic to spells, or spell, whatever, throughout its card system, which, whatever. But the issue is that they did it by apparently control effing magic and then replace all with spell.
Boy.
So have you ever heard of the card Dark Magician?
That's like one of the most prominent cards. It's Yu-Gi-Oh's card.
Well, what are the first 5 letters of magician? So now it's Dark Spellion. And so everyone was making fun of that like a few days ago. They're
That's
like,
hilarious.
You just copy, you just control F the whole thing. What are you doing? And it's just like, I'm sure they'll fix it. It's not going to take long to fix a card, or like there's a couple cards that are called magician, but like that's just silly. It's just it's not like a crippling thing. It's just an embarrassing gaffe that's kind of funny.
It's also really funny because like that's one of the most prominent cards in the series.
I know, like even someone like me has heard of that card.
Yeah, me too. I don't know anything about Yu-Gi-Oh, but I know 2 cards. I know the Dark Magician and the Blue Eyes White Dragon. That's all I know.
Yeah, from episode 1 of the anime.
Exactly. So I know that's Yu-Gi-Oh.
I know a couple more than
signature
that,
card.
but like a friend of mine played Yu-Gi-Oh back in high school.
Yeah. It's just really interesting. I mean, that's up there with Fraulein being replaced.
That's very funny. Someone had actually
Mist.
Well, someone had
Miss.
actually Miss. It's precious. But somebody had actually mentioned Actually. Apparently Magic the Gathering Online, like an old build of it, had done something similar, because there are cards that say, like, treat all of one color as a different color. So, like, you would replace the text, but if you replace red with something, then, like, cards with the word reduce get affected.
Oh boy, and
So
like
reduce. So instead of reduce, it's like blue deuce. It's like, what the fuck, or blue ooze, or like, it's like goofy
wow.
stuff like that. So it's the same kind of thing, but it's just like, oops, how embarrassing. I
Yeah.
forgot that maybe there's the word magic in our decades worth of Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Yeah, that's what a gaff. Jeez. But moving on from that, Shadow Warrior 3 is out now.
Yeah, there we go. Spoilers. Sorry, everybody.
This is the series that's put out by Devolver Digital. That's of course the reboot of the
You have 90s Shadow Warrior.
90s the build engine game.
Yeah, it was basically like Japanese Duke Nukem, like wisecracking badass.
Yeah, with some very insensitive humor by today's
Yes.
standards. But yeah, I apparently everybody really loves the reboot franchise. So much so that they're making a third game here. So I know that one of the more prominent like first-person shooter YouTubers, his name is G-Man Lives, really likes this one. So that's saying a lot because he's usually pretty critical. He does give things that people rail on a chance though, so that's always something that's good about him. He doesn't like dogpile. He actually like comes up with his own opinion about things. But no, he actually genuinely loves this one, so I think this is probably a winner. And I've wanted to play these games. I have never gotten to them, but I just think it's pretty cool. That they took something that was, kind of an offshoot of Duke Nukem. I mean, let's just face it.
Yeah,
like,
it really was. Like, let's try to capitalize on Duke Nukem again.
yeah, it's using the same engine and same shtick, really, but with a different flavor.
Pretty much.
But
If I didn't know any better, I would have said it was a mod of Duke Nukem that they put voice acting into.
but which Duke Nukem already had voice acting as well. So I mean,
Well, no, what I mean though is that they put like unique voice acting
yeah.
into the mod. It's not like Duke Nukem's lines or anything.
Yeah, I mean, build engine games are always pretty fun, but there's some garbage ones out there, obviously. But this is one of the better ones up there with Blood. But the remake, the reboot franchise is its own thing, and apparently very, very good. So I'm looking forward to playing that at some point. Next thing that I wanted to talk about is that we had we talked about Crunchyroll a little bit a little while ago. Maybe was it last week or the week before, something like that.
It was relatively recently.
Yeah, they all of a sudden Crunchyroll showed up as a media app on Switch. Well, this week they Funimation and Crunchyroll merged a while back, but they never really became the same thing yet. Now they have, and Crunchyroll is the surviving entity. So that's probably the right way to go, because I think more people had Crunchyroll subscriptions than Funimation subscriptions. But Funimation is of course a larger publisher at large. They put out like they have all the TV rights and streaming rights and all that kind of stuff. So it's good that they combine them, because like if they own them both, I don't want to be paying both of them for the content.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't believe the library has completely rolled over, but there have been transfers.
It's getting there. Also, I wanted to bring this up, and we're going to talk about this more on Thursday, but Seven Seas Entertainment has been really putting out some bangers lately. This company mainly kind of specialized in like error, like basically like hentai-ish kind of stuff for a long time, but then all of a sudden they broke into like the classic manga market and has really like been killing it. The ones that I've been able to get from them so far are the Devilman franchise, or the original Devilman from like the 70s. I talked about that a little bit. And I got Captain Harlock recently, the 3 volumes of that. Just really happy that they're giving these classic mangas a chance in English for the first time officially.
By the way, you know what I like about Captain Harlock?
What's that?
Like, on the occasion where there are gunfights, it's not like pew 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 pew. Like, either someone fires and the other guy's dead, or person A fires and person B goes ooh and dodges to the side and counters and person A is dead.
Yeah.
It's like Samurai but with guns. Like, they don't make a spectacle of it. Like, one or the other is gonna die real quick.
Yeah, it is very much kind of realistic piracy, but set in space. It's actually kind of funny. I've been reading the first volume, and I've been enjoying it. So
Harlock is a classic for a reason.
Yeah.
I haven't read it, but the anime was great.
We'll talk more about that probably on Thursday. But what I wanted to get at is that they're putting out more and more interesting stuff for these classic collections. They tend to be like tied to stuff that people recognize. So they recently put out, I think it was this week or within the month, actually 3 things. They put out a Lupin the Third like best of volume, which I didn't list here, but that I'm very interested in. Just like, kind of like I'm sure Lupin the Third has tons of manga, so they probably didn't want to go down the rabbit hole of translating it all. But
say it certainly has enough anime, including the first Miyazaki Studio Ghibli movie.
Yeah. The Count of Cagliostro.
Castle
of Cagliostro, which is amazing.
And
extremely influential on Japanese culture in general. But they recently put out Himitsu Sentai Gorenger. Do you know what that is?
I'm assuming it's Gorenger. Isn't that one of the... Well, it's one of the Sentais. So,
yeah, Gorenger. It's Gorenger, yeah.
I've, it's not the Power Rangers as we know them, but it's like it.
It's the original Super Sentai incarnation.
Okay.
So it is, but it isn't. The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is like the 5th or 7th iteration of this.
Yeah.
This is like the manga of the original version.
It's kind of funny to imagine it as a manga, because I know it's just been a part of Japanese culture forever, where it's like guys in elaborate rubber suits fight I'm going to call them Rangers. I know it's not quite like that for every iteration, but it's just like Godzilla, but on a personal scale. It's just a guy in a crazy monster suit fighting a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you recognize it as a kaiju kind of thing,
It basically is.
Yeah.
I mean, with Power Rangers, when they get the Zords and stuff like that, it becomes kaiju at that point. But it's funny because these monsters never have articulation with the mouth or whatever. It's obviously a mask or a bodysuit, but at the same time, they're really cool bodysuits.
So I must reiterate though that this manga is an adaptation of the television series, so it
was a show first. Okay,
it was a show first. However, the guy who wrote it, let me find it. Ishinomori. Yeah, his name is Ishinomori. Shotaro Ishinomori. So he came up with the concept first, and then made the show. Actually, based off of the success of Kamen Rider, which he also created. Now,
yeah, that's one of those things that, by this point, Americans probably have heard of it, and we even got a series back in the 90s, but yeah, Kamen Rider came first. It's like Power Rangers, except there's just one of them, although usually partway through the series, a second one comes up.
Ultraman was even before that, so...
before that, yeah. That was also, one person, transform, fight, bad guy.
Yeah, but, I will say that they also released the Kamen Rider manga, right within the same time frame.
That's pretty cool.
But the cool thing about the Kamen Rider one is the Kamen Rider manga is the original
Yeah.
work. The manga came first and then the TV show. So,
Oh. Do you know who played the original Kamen Rider?
no, I don't.
Segata Sanshiro.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I did learn that. I forgot.
That's great.
Yeah.
He's a badass twice.
I wonder what they're gonna do with Segata Sanshiro, because they had like the younger version of him like show up.
Yeah,
and then he
yeah,
kind
that
of
was
disappeared. I think it's really cool to like read a manga based off of this, because you're used to that afternoon like cheap aesthetic that a Kamen Rider and Power Rangers are known for.
Well, that is true, but like Kamen Rider especially, like
that gets more and more high budget as time goes on. But
well, it clearly gets more high budget, but like despite its general aesthetic, especially in the '60s, like it wasn't afraid to go dark. Like the first Kamen Rider, I think like the guy dies and that's how he becomes Kamen Rider. It's like, but if we put this weird experimental, it's like the $6 million man. Like if we put this experimental technology, like I think the guy dies like before he becomes Kamen Rider, and that's kind of how he becomes Kamen Rider. Perhaps with this suit, like I think it's something like that.
Yeah, wow.
It was. I might be confusing that with X, but like one of the Kamen Riders, like the early ones, does that.
Yeah.
And Kuga got fucking dark.
But
The shit out of each other.
I kind of am looking forward to getting like it seems like almost all the classic collections that they Seven Seas keeps putting out are like stuff that I particularly, I'm like, you know what, I kind of would want to read that.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. It's just like, wow, you're pressing my buttons. Like Devilman is like right up my alley, and then like Captain Harlock. Oh man. They have also Battleship Yamato.
Yeah.
And they also have Cutie Honey. I'm not gonna do either of those because Cutie Honey I don't care about, and
I kind of want to watch the anime for Yamato. Apparently that was like a really big deal.
So the thing about the Yamato manga is it's an adaptation of the TV show. I'd rather watch whatever the original.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
and apparently the manga isn't as good. So I'll believe the fans on that one. So moving on from that. John DiMaggio is confirmed for the Futurama revival.
He's in
voice
after
of
all.
Bender. So he's like, I'm back, baby.
Yeah, I saw somebody joking about how, I guess he's not going to make his own show with blackjack and hookers.
Well, some people believe this might even be like a stunt to get people involved in it, and I don't think so. I think he genuinely
he might have been fighting for like proper pay.
Yeah, and he probably was getting paid less than Billy West, which I guess that's unfair, because John DiMaggio is also like really 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 talented, and he's also like a major part of the show. So I support him 100%, and he's a very prominent voice actor. He's not just a nobody. He's the voice of the dog in Adventure Time, and quite a few other things. So I'm glad that he got what he wanted, and also we got what we wanted. We got a fully featured Futurama voice cast. So really looking forward to it, because honestly all of Futurama is gold. So if they have the same writing staff, I hope they do. I'll be very happy. Also, you brought this one up to me.
This is just nuts. This is
bananas.
So, okay, like, you may remember that they were going to make a new Star Wars video game, like, release date unknown, but it's coming. Star Wars Eclipse. And that was an interesting concept, because it was going to be a David Cage game. Like, what if they did a Star Wars game? And conceptually, that's kind of interesting. But they recently came out and said that the release date's going to be pushed way back to maybe 2027 or 2028, which is, like, insane. And the reason it's being pushed back is because... Excuse me?
I don't even care about anything that's released that far in advance. Like,
Yeah, no, it's like I'm going to forget about it by the time it comes out.
Exactly.
But, like, the reason they need a delay is because they're looking for people to, like, make the game. They need, like, programmers and stuff like that.
They're out there.
I have a question for you, Vice.
They're out there. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so Vice, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Why in the world, because I cannot for the life of me figure this out, why do you think Quantic Dream might be having trouble finding people willing to work for them.
Probably
Can't
because
imagine.
they have an insane culture problem.
Oh, yeah, maybe it had something to do with them getting blasted on fucking French news for David Cage being an incredible piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, actually, both the big French developers are in trouble for that.
What are you talking about, Ubisoft?
Ubisoft, yeah.
Yeah, but like Quantic Dream seems toxic as fuck. I mean, we had a whole podcast about that a while ago, but it's really not looking good. Oh, you know what really made me laugh, by the way?
What's that?
Like, I doubt you would have seen this because it was just like a response tweet, like on Twitter. This really made me laugh. Have you seen the logo for Star Wars Eclipse?
I looked at it, but I didn't internalize anything about it.
Well, there's nothing to internalize about it. It's just like the title in front of like an eclipse. There's like the big ring.
Sure.
But so somebody responded to it with a picture of Universal's, Dark Universe anthology logo, which looks like the fucking same. So like, it's just very funny. It's like, oh, another thing that looks just like this that's dying before it gets started.
Oh, jeez. I'll go out on a limb saying that this will probably never see the light of day.
And even if it does, don't support Quantic Dream.
Yeah, exactly. The trailer did look kind of neat, but
their games always look gorgeous. Like they tend to be ambitious, even if like the Heavy Rain stuff and Beyond Two Souls, like you're not a fan of how they play, but they're like they try to be something interesting. Whether you think they succeed or not, that's your business. But like, yeah, I'm not touching this.
And the final thing I wanted to go over personally is I did see the Batman this weekend.
Oh, you saw the Batman movie?
A Batman. I saw a Batman. And I really, really liked it. I liked it a lot. It is a long ass movie that probably could have been trimmed down, honestly, but the performances are phenomenal. I have to say.
The big thing I heard in its favor was that Batman's actually a detective in the movie.
Oh yeah, I was actually just going to say that. He is a detective foremost in.
Does he use like just an old school magnifying glass at any point?
No, but he does have contact lenses that help him out.
No, I know, but it would just be funny if he used just like a magnifying glass, like when you were in like elementary school.
And then
like he holds it in front of his eye, and his eye looks really big. Like in the cartoons.
And accidentally burns all of the evidence because he's using it.
He burns an ant. Ah, shit. Sorry.
But no, I thought I was just on actually a guest on another podcast tonight, and which I will talk about maybe a little bit later and plug that when it's ready to go out. But it was really interesting what they did. They really made the character of Batman I guess probably first and foremost the thing that is most impressive about this movie is the characters. All the side cast are all the supporting cast were phenomenal, and so was Robert Pattinson, by the way. I'm not saying he wasn't. It's just like the acting is probably the best of any Batman movie out there.
Even better than Batman and Robin.
Cool party. But I mean, Arnold wasn't acting; he was just being himself. So, and George Clooney was just being himself.
And everybody knew that. Everybody knew that going in. He's the one-liner guy. It's just very disorienting when he's relatively new at the time. Tragic, Mr. Freeze with his wife.
Yeah,
that was pretty new off the animated series at the time. But like, the whole thing with Mr. Freeze is that like the new Mr. Freeze is that all he wants to do is save his wife, and he'll do anything, include kill, to make that happen. But then you see him just wisecracking and enjoying himself while he's robbing the bank and shit. It's like, wait a minute.
What's pretty neat about what they've done with Mr. Freeze over the years is when Scott Snyder took over the Batman for the New 52, they changed like Victor Freeze's like backstory and made him even more interesting. So they made it actually so that he believed himself to be the husband of Nora, but really he was just she was just a person in cryostasis that he was obsessing over, that had gone into cryostasis way before he like knew her.
That's an interesting angle, but like it takes away the
tragic.
Yeah, like now he's just like a crazy asshole who, to be fair, he still does care, but that's like super
His
toxic.
motivations are virtuous, but at the expense of others. So that they're not.
It's like that. Like it's almost, it's not quite the same because she's in cryostasis, but it makes me think of a parasocial relationship where you really think you like this person who like may or may not know that you even exist.
Yeah.
So like that just like that is an interesting angle for Freeze. That's genuinely interesting, but it's also like, well, now he's just a creeper who tries really hard.
Yeah, exactly. But getting back to the Batman, I thought that Paul Dano did a fantastic job as the Riddler. He definitely plays probably the closest version to the Arkham City, or version of the Joker.
Yeah, the Arkham video
Riddler.
games. So does that imply then he's cool and collected, but if things go wrong, he just gets like really frustrated, like throws like tantrums?
So in the comic, he's kind of a weenie. Like even in
Sure.
the comic, he's not considered one of Batman's top tier villains. He's just one of the villains that everybody knows because of the TV show and all that kind of stuff. But he's not considered like one of the more dangerous and devious bad guys.
Yeah, he
that's
has
out
potential, but he has to set up like an entire scenario.
Well, he's kind of they've kind of painted him as a more tragic figure in that he compulsively wants Batman's attention, and that's his thing. Like he's just wants attention. So in the movie they make him out to be like that.
Okay.
And but they do it in a really kind of like creepy incel way, like internet like weirdo.
Yeah, I heard about that. I saw on Twitter somebody had posted like in the movie, they're like, this guy has 500 followers, and like if you're talking about local criminals, that's pretty terrifying. But if you're just talking about internet followers, like I have more than that on Twitter.
Yeah,
and I'm not famous.
Well, the 500 are supposedly local, so that's
yeah, that is more considerable if they're like local Gotham criminals. Like, oh shit! But it's just funny to be like, he has 500 followers. Like,
yeah,
all right.
They're all weirdos just like him.
Sure.
So, but that they really want Batman's attention, which is really they actually think they're helping Batman, which is really interesting angle to
Why? Because they give him crime to solve?
No, you have to watch the movie.
All right, because like I'm probably getting this wrong, but it makes me think of like Screwball in the Spider-Man PS4 game, where she's not in it to help Spider-Man, but like she's a big fan of Spider-Man and is pleased that he comes to stop her crimes because that gets her more hits on not Twitch.
Well, it's more like Riddler like is guiding Batman to do the things that he wants him to do, and he thinks that Batman's in on it.
Okay, that's interesting.
And because the Riddler shows up as a result of being a fan of Batman. So
that makes sense. Isn't that kind of like a Reverse Flash situation? He was just like a Flash fan the whole time until it became like absolutely brutal.
Yeah, no, that's what it is, and one of the best things about it is kind of like they have a really nice like kind of showdown at towards the end of the movie that I like, one of the best acting jobs that I've seen from somebody.
I was gonna say really like good. I'm sure it's not like gonna be like a Bane situation. The Riddler's just like a guy. Even the Joker took more hits than I expected him to take from Batman, but they didn't do like a fight.
What's really good about this was that Batman doesn't have access to the Riddler at the time, and so therefore it's very frustrating for him. So like their showdown is with separation involved, and
It would have to be, yeah, because otherwise you just like well, it's like the Arkham games. Like when you finally get to meet the Riddler in person, it's just like, well, I got you. You're under arrest.
Yeah. I really liked it. It had elements of The Long Halloween, which is one of Batman's most iconic stories, because in it he's really mostly fighting gangsters, and I like that version of Batman where he's not like fighting superpowered things all the time.
Well, yeah, it's the opening credits of the show. He beats guys dressed up in like 1940s like classy gangster outfits.
Yeah, and they kind of combined it with like the City of Owls kind of stuff, and also like the Year Zero kind of stuff. But it was very prominently Long Halloween, especially the Catwoman stuff that was in there. I thought Zoe Kravitz did a great job. I really do. Also, Robert Pattinson's Bat voice is very good. It is not over the top and goofy like Christian Bale's.
Yeah, Christian Bale's was interesting at first, and then you're like, oh, this is gonna be the whole movie, isn't it?
It got worse and worse as time went on.
Yeah,
too.
Swear to me. Yeah.
Where is she?
Well, my favorite, and I genuinely do not know if this was intentionally a joke, because it actually might have been, but in The Dark Knight Rises with Bane.
Yeah, the third movie in particular.
Yeah, where like where, like where he like really pushes it, like that had to be like a wink at the previous movie. Like, where? It was great.
Everybody laughed at that.
Yeah, like come on.
I think that Zoe Kravitz did an amazing job. I think that Colin Farrell did a really great job as the Penguin. Like,
yeah, I saw pictures of him. Like,
Penguin.
damn. Yeah, this is the guy who played Bullseye in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. Oh my god.
And John Turturro, man,
really?
Yeah, John Turturro is really awesome in this movie. Really, really good.
Does he get pissed on by a transformer?
John Turturro really shows his acting chops in this movie, because he doesn't like he definitely has a range.
He's not in schlock this time.
Yeah, no, he's basically a gangster in it, and he is very intimidating as just a gangster.
You know what I gotta say is, like, you can't keep doing this, otherwise it develops a pattern. But I really like when actors like act out of type, like, oh yeah, like when Adam Sandler is like a genuine terrifying badass in Uncut Gems. You're like, oh, he could have done this whole time. Like, I just love seeing weird stuff like that. Or like, this is a weird thing to bring up, but like I don't remember the name, but it was like an old Western movie where like Henry Fonda was the bad guy, and that was like incredibly shocking because he was stone cold, and you're like,
Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Or not Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
That was Antonio Banderas.
Once Upon a Time in the Old West.
Yeah, and like you're like, I didn't even know he could act like that. He
yeah,
just kills a kid.
The good guy is Charles Bronson in that one, and Henry Fonda, the shining example of a good guy, is against type.
Yeah, he is ice cold.
Yeah, no, he's awful in that movie. That is a Sergio Leone movie after they made The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Okay. That one's a very good one. But yeah, Once Upon a Time in the Old West. That is a very underrated like spaghetti western. It's really, really good. I definitely recommend it. It is like I said, there is some stuff that I think could have been cut, and there is some stuff that I like. The sequel baiting stuff is a little goofy.
I really would like it if movies would just fucking stop doing that. Like, I mean, I get it in the MCU because the whole point is to be this ever expanding universe. It makes sense, but like, not everything has to be I mean, I know Batman like basically is a franchise, but not everything has to be a 3-hour long commercial. Make a damn movie. I assume you'll make another one because it was good. Like, you don't have to fucking tease. It's like, just let me just enjoy the ending of something.
Yeah. The only thing that I can't say that Pattinson is like the best Batman, or like I can't rank him quite yet, because I think it'll take some sequels just like any other.
Well, not only that, but like you saw the movie like just now or yesterday or something. Like, let it sink in, because it's very easy to get like to come out with the rush of like, oh man, that movie was fun, but like, yeah, let it simmer for a little while.
Well, what I was gonna bring up is that his Bruce Wayne is barely in it. He's Batman most of the time. Like almost all of it. So he has, so he doesn't show up as he's not like, he doesn't do his Playboy thing at all in the movie. So he's only Bruce Wayne when he takes his cowl off, really. So.
Honestly, that was mostly a Christian Bale thing. Like Keaton and Kilmer and Clooney weren't like Playboy billionaires. Like they were like they did their business.
Well, I mean, they did. Like Keaton has his big party at the beginning.
He did have the ballroom. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah,
okay.
But
even then, it wasn't like, oh man, what a wild man.
Yeah. But you know what I mean. Like he was a public figure to some degree,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Exactly. And so I think Christian Bale has like one of the best Bruce Waynes out of the bunch, because he uses that Bruce Wayne persona to do different things that Batman can't do.
My favorite part was when he used Bruce Wayne to quote prove that he wasn't Batman. Like, he's not caught up with the news. Like, do you think I should go to the hospital? Like that. I mean, that was a little leaning a little too much into it, but that was a clever idea.
It's definitely almost like a Patrick Bateman kind of thing that he's doing with him, which he was an American Psycho.
The wink and the smile. Yeah, hey.
Yeah. But I thought that it was really, really good. Also, one other, this is a small detail, but I just really appreciate it. You know how, like, Batman, like, when he has his mask on, they almost every, like, live action incarnation of him has, like, a layer of, like, eyeliner. Like,
oh yeah, because like it helps black out the eyes. Especially like I was watching a Red Letter Media take on this recently, but like Batman Forever, his eye holes are very big when they. And like, so he just has, like, George Clooney just has these just black painted all around his eyes, and like it like the eye holes are so big that you could just see it.
So in those older ones, whenever he like Batman ends up taking off his mask, that eye shadow like disappears. That eyeliner disappears. So it doesn't look like, so like it seems like it's part of the mask or something.
Yeah, but, like the light hits him in such a way where it's just dark. I can't see his eyes very well. But yeah, like what's you're saying, Robert Pattinson just walks, like when he takes the mask off, now I gotta get this eyeliner off too.
Yeah, no, it's all like messed up and like all grimy when he takes off his mask.
It makes sense. Yeah, I guess he looks like a football player with that like eye shadow. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was a neat touch. Is that like, no, that's actually part of his costume, and he intentionally puts that there.
Yeah, he puts it on before he puts on the mask.
Yeah, exactly. So
it almost makes me think that this is such a bizarre comparison, but like there are so many costumed heroes and villains where, like, remember, they gotta put that shit on. They're just people. Yeah. Like it makes me think of like the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I prefer the original, but one huge point I'll give to the remake was you see Leatherface at a sewing machine, like with a face. Like, I was just like, oh yeah,
somebody has to make this.
Yeah, he doesn't just have that.
Well, that's all I'm gonna say, because I want people to enjoy it, But it's one of the best Batman movies. I'm gonna throw it out there. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna marinate on that and give it time. Whether I'm gonna say it's the best one of all time or whatever, but it's up there with one of my favorites. So, it's definitely worth a watch. Please go see it if you have any interest in it, or catch it on HBO Max. I think in only a couple months, so that'll be great. Anything else for the good of the order, Lotus?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, that's the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and SoundCloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. It helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much anything. Just give me a heads up.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on my Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you're interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, currently doing Armored Core 2, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, that's what the next one's going to be, a pre-selected game, or getting in conversations with me on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
All right, that's just Prime. We'll catch everybody on Thursday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.